Hello, everyone. I am Matt Williamson, and here is pulling back curtain, what I'm up to. The final practice of the acclimation period just ended, and just ended being on the radio. Okay, and I'm headed home back to Pittsburgh. But first, I ran into my dorm room so that I can kind of give you a recap of the acclimation period. And if you're not on top of this, they've had 4 practices. I didn't miss Fridays, so I've seen 3 of 4, but I've also been talking to people this whole time. And they come back Tuesday. So I'll go home now, which is Sunday evening. I'll drive back up Tuesday morning. Nothing really happens here tomorrow, Monday. So if you're planning on coming up, don't come up tomorrow. But I definitely have some impressions of what we've seen without question. And we'll kind of just go position by position. And to be honest, the linemen and the running backs, you're not going to get much from this. I mean, these are glorified OTA minicamp stuff, very assignment things, first couple days of install, making sure everything's right. So whenever it gets physical, when it gets harder, that there aren't mental errors. Everybody's on the same page. And I will say as a whole, I have not seen many mental errors. Sure, an offensive lineman might false start. Someone might jump off sides. But it doesn't look like it's disarray and people don't understand the new offense or know where to be or any of that. So we have not seen Russell Wilson yet in pads. I would bet everything I have he will be on Tuesday, however. That being said, just him walking around campus every time I've seen him, very much so on the practice field, he is heavily engaged. I mean, he is very much in the mix. And after practice these last 2 days, he has thrown, and he's not doing a ton of running and throwing on the move, but he was throwing deep. I mean, he's fine. I mean, he doesn't concern me at all. I'm excited to see him, though. Can't wait. As for Justin Fields, today I thought was his best practice. And, in 7 shots, they had a run for him that was really impressive where he just flat out beat Highsmith to the cone. I mean, his running is great. They have not featured that much yet, nor should they. I mean, he's running with the one, so you want him to do quarterbacky stuff. Seeing him throw live, though, has me a little concerned, in that he's a little bit of a push thrower. He's had a couple passes batted down, and his release point isn't real high. He's not a real flick your wrist, get it out guy, which is really popular and important in the league now. Thinking Mahomes, just that little flick, or Michael Vick did it great. He's a little more of a pusher. And he's also in a new system and not able to do his best thing, which is run and run away from people. So again, very early. Those are just my initial impressions. You don't see long stretches of the ball not hitting the ground, though, either. There'll be a miss here. It's not a ton of consistency. The other 2 are fine, Kyle Allen and Plumlee. Plumlee moves around pretty well as advertised. He's a good athlete. Allen is solid, and you can just tell he understands blitz recognition. He's a pro. That's the best thing I can say about him, which is exactly what they're looking for, because they don't want their number 3 to be a guy that needs a lot of development or needs a ton of reps, because then Fields isn't getting them, BetOnline's your number 1 source for your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, so many more. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the team's latest matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Running backs, I can't get real excited or talk much about them. They're not breaking tackles. They're not doing pass pro. No one's tackling them, But Edwards, the undrafted guy, he's kind of piqued my interest. I like the way he moves. He has a low running style. So that's of interest. The wideouts, Pickens has done some good things, but I think the other guys are all trying to stand out, get the pecking order. And I don't feel strongly in any direction that Austin, Jefferson, Miller, Callaway, Roman Wilson, Quez Watkins is noticeably better than the others. Austin and Wilson, Roman, have been what you'd hope. I mean, I like the way they come out of breaks. They run well. They're working hard. But again, these are small receivers working in space without a pass rush, without a lot of physicality, not worried about getting blasted over the middle. I will say, and this was really true today, schematically, we talked a lot about 12 personnel, Arthur Smith, heavier personnel. And I very much think that'll be the foundation. But today we saw, again, this is Sunday, a lot more 3 receiver sets, spread stuff. I wanted to say this with the running backs too. We saw Warren and Harris detached more, which I think is interesting as well. And just to rewind a second too, this Jack Coletto is the only fullback on the roster. He sees the field. I mean, to be determined on can he make the team or a true fullback be on this team or not, who's to say. But I will say that I'm seeing, and this was really true in the red zone 7-shot stuff, schemed open receivers, because of scheme, not because of this unbelievable route or, Pickens going up and plucking it over someone's head. Some nice, easy completions in the red zone when things are tight due to scheme, from the new coordinator. So I thought that was encouraging. The line, hey, Ciamalo didn't play yesterday. Spencer Anderson got the majority of the snaps at left guard, and I still have high hopes for him. Herbig is right now the starting center. Dylan Cook has looked good, mostly at left tackle. I found that interesting, and maybe I've missed some of the right tackle snaps, but I think that's interesting to me. As of right now, Herbig's holding on to that center job. But just watching the 2 rookies, but especially Faetanu, he moves really, really well. And a lot of that stuff is just drills and, doing pass sets and things like that on his own. But you can just see that he's a special mover, which is great. Last thing on offense is the tight ends. We're seeing a lot of motion, pre-snap motion, a lot of motion from the first player and, just to get a read of what the defense is going to do. And then a second player in motion, Connor Hayward, it really exemplifies that. Michael Pruitt looks like he can fit in well. Rodney Williams is still in the mix, but he got hurt the other day, so he's going to be out for a little while. Freiermuth has been one of the best players to me in camp, and they're featuring him a lot. I mean, so that to me says a mouthful. But Darnell Washington to me is an interesting one too. Like, I think we look at some of these players like Leal and Loudermilk, but I look at Washington and think he could very well take a nice step in year 2. And he looks faster, more explosive to me than he did last training camp. So speaking of D linemen, again, that's a really hard position to judge. But there seems to be some optimism for Leal. The rest of the group are fine, but they're not asked to do a ton. And that's true with the edge rushers as well. There's not a 4th edge rusher that I would say is emerging. But again, we haven't even done pass rush drills yet. As for the inside linebackers, we're not seeing Holcomb. He's on PUP, of course. Patrick Queen is exactly as advertised as an athlete, as a speed player. But I think Peyton Wilson's one of the stories of camp so far too. I thought early in camp, or early in the acclimation process, he might have been struggling a little bit with his responsibilities. And what I mean by that is I think the team looked at him, and as opposed to putting a little bit on his plate at a time in terms of calling the defense with the 2s, I think they just threw a ton on his plate and said, eat it up and digest it. And I think he was getting guys aligned, and then he might be a little slow to react to the play when the ball snaps because he's doing all the communication stuff. Well, today, the last acclimation process was the total opposite. He flew around the field like he did at NC State. I mean, I thought that was really encouraging. Getting sideline to sideline, really looking comfortable, playing at the speed you want already. So I have really high hopes for Peyton Wilson. Let's go to the safeties. I think the biggest thing to take away from the safeties, which is a big thing, is Elliott, Minka, and KZ are playing a lot of snaps on the field together in big nickel. And what's cool about it is if they go single high, any one of them could be the single high safety. So it doesn't just have to be Minka. He comes down and he's a robber. There's a lot of pre-snap moving with the safeties. If they play too high, it could be any two of the three. Elliott's playing some slot as well. I mean, they all are, but he seems to stand out that way, usually against tight ends and whatnot. But that 3 safety package certainly has me intrigued, and I think it's going to be something that's sort of a cornerstone of what they do. Corner. Porter's good. He looks great. Dante Jackson's been good, but I mean, we're also not seeing a lot of one-on-one press man coverage stuff with these dudes either. Bishop is playing a lot in the slot, which we like. This Graylin Arnold dude is being out there a lot as well. And to be honest, I need to do more homework on him. Rush made a play today. So again, the secondary, I don't have huge takeaways at corner, much more so at safety. And last one is Cameron Johnston is a weapon. I mean, this guy, watching him punt, like watching Harvin punt here was impressive because he just kills it. I mean, he just gets the driver out and blows it 325 yards down the middle. Well, not always down the middle, but far. Johnston, to use a golf reference, I mean, he's got every club in his bag. I mean, yesterday he was putting these really controlled 3/4 leg. Doesn't extend his leg all the way through and just crush it. I mean, he's just kind of pooching it, but with great control and consistently deadening the ball, like on the 5-yard line. Like, I was blown away. Like, I didn't plan on spending a lot of time watching the punter, but every time I watch this guy, he'll kick spirals that go really, really high. He'll get ones that turn over that are harder to catch. His control near the green, so to speak, is really, really good. Like, it's night and day comparing him to any of the punters I've seen here, to be honest with you. So I think they massively, massively upgraded the punter. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed that. Again, that's the recap of the first 4 practices. They all need to be lumped together. And that's a wrap. Take care.